In the news this week, rising tensions and the lack of trust between police and the firearm industry leads to further questions on accountability. A WAMA News exclusive.
Back to freedom for Western Australia as Stage 5 restrictions kick in again. On thin ice, a Perth ice rink at risk as businesses remain impacted by COVID-19 lockdowns and restrictions. Plus, Dr. Andrew Miller's comment.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Sarah Smit.
Good evening. The exclusive story in just a moment, but first a storm update. Perth residents can expect more flash flooding on Monday morning when the strongest cold front of the season makes landfall. DFS WA issued a severe weather warning for the area stretching from Exmouth to Albany, with heavy rainfalls and wind gusts up to 100 kilometres per hour expected. Higher tides and dangerous surf are also expected, with warnings to avoid recreational water activities over the coming days. The cold front will hit on early Monday morning, with severe weather expected to continue for several days.
We're not expecting rainfall as heavy as the Friday event through the Perth area, but there will be heavy falls right up and down western parts of the state. So as far north as Coral Bay and down to the south coast, we're expecting 24-hour rainfall totals of around 20 to 40 millimetres. In some parts, particularly in the hills from Perth and southwards, we'll see rainfall totals over the next 3 days well in excess of 60 or 70 millimetres. And continuing right through to Wednesday morning, the southwest of WA, probably from about Jurien Bay around to Walpole or Albany, will experience westerly winds that will continue to gust up around that 100 kilometre an hour mark right through that period. So it is a particularly prolonged period.
So my key message today is use today to prepare for tomorrow. For those who experience flooding, you may need to sandbag your property, and we encourage that you go to a local hardware store or a landscaping supplier to obtain sandbags. And DFES has also established 4 sandbagging areas across the entire metropolitan area.
Meanwhile, many Perth residents went to DFS WA sandbagging points to safeguard their properties against the wild weather following Friday's flash floods which hit the city hard. From young to old, members of the community came out in droves to collect sandbags, hoping to secure their properties against potential flash floods as wet weather set to continue during the week.
It just flooded our whole back section, went into our laundry, my shed, so it was up like about that far. So yeah, just making sure we've got protection this time. It's good to see that they've got this happening with sandbags so people can be prepared. So we're looking after the other storm. This whole oval behind you was right up, the water was up to the top of those bollards. It was pretty unbelievable.
Returning to our top story now, tensions between police and the firearm industry have raised concerns over the future of public safety. Decreasing trust between both parties had led to some community members to speak out about alleged misconduct and call for greater accountability. Brianna Melville with this exclusive report.
Workers in the firearms industry have spoken out against what they say is unacceptable behaviour from police towards store team members. Zane Beaton and his team at Beaton Firearms regularly come into contact with the police to cooperate over matters in gun licensing. Mr. Beaton says he is worried about the increasing lack of respect shown by members of the police towards himself and his colleagues. He says this has resulted in him making several official and unofficial complaints about police conduct, which he believes aren't being taken seriously.
We have had several formal complaints against the police in regards to their conduct, in regards to both mannerism on the phone as well as their conduct in the store itself, to the point that we have had to install CCTV footage out the front here, not because of any theft that's going on, but to make sure that we've got proof the next time the police don't conduct themselves correctly in our store.
Mr. Beaton says this isn't personal. He's concerned that the lack of police accountability could lead to dire consequences in our society.
With a huge amount of power as well as responsibility, and they're supposed to have, they need to have the trust of the people in order to work correctly. And our society runs on the fact that we can trust the executive, that we can trust our politicians, that we can trust the judiciary. And if they're disrespecting that trust, if they're doing anything to erode our trust in the police, then that's an erosion of our democratic system that holds our whole country up.
Victims of crime advocate Peter Neal says it's vital that police are held accountable for their conduct.
It's problematic because the police have a code of conduct. It's legally enforceable under the Public Sector Management Act. And under that code of conduct, they've got to treat all people with dignity and respect. And one of the reasons that there is that requirement is so that the police earn the trust of the community. And if they fail to treat everybody with dignity and respect, that means they start to lose the trust of the community. So it's absolutely vital that they follow their code of conduct and act appropriately.
For Mr Beaton, the matter of inappropriate police conduct is a matter of public safety.
Consultation between people within our industry and the police is very, very important to make sure that we're addressing issues as they come up. If we're not addressing the issues as they come up, then they're going to become larger, bigger issues for public safety, and then that's going to impact everyday people.
After several misconduct allegations were reported by WAMN News in past weeks, this story highlights trust remains a key issue between police and other stakeholders in the community. Time will tell as to how this issue and others will be dealt with. Brianna, Melville, WAMN News.
Western Australia is set to return to normal on Monday after the 4-day snap lockdown successfully quashed and killed the virus.
Premier Mark McGowan confirmed the relaxation of restrictions this weekend as borders reopen and businesses are set to receive cash flow assistance. Helene Fung reports.
Stage 5 restrictions will come in force on Monday, meaning WA is returning to near-freedom status, with no masks and no event restrictions, but COVID-safe plans and Safe WA app are still required. Travel between WA and Victoria has opened, following Victoria's return to a very low-risk classification for COVID-19. The new travel bubble allows Victorian travellers to enter WA without first undergoing a 14-day hotel quarantine period. The Northern Territory is also on track to a low-risk classified jurisdiction from midnight, with the WA anti-border restrictions also set to ease.
In short, WA is about to snap back to life, to the life we love, a community that's open and free, and most importantly, safe.
The Premier also announced that small businesses across WA impacted by the recent 4-day lockdown will be able to apply for a $3,000 grant from the state government. The grants were launched in a move to provide immediate cash flow assistance to businesses affected in the Perth, Peel and regional areas. Mr McGowan said the government considered that the lockdown occurred during a working week and had incurred financial losses for businesses.
More than 15,400 businesses in Perth and Peel and 2,300 businesses in regional WA could be eligible for this program.
Helene Fung, WAMN News.
A Perth ice skating rink owner has revealed her business has been constantly on thin ice during the COVID-19 pandemic, with lockdowns and restrictions impacting its ability to keep its doors open. It remains at risk alongside other businesses calling for help, with some saying government offers of assistance are inadequate. Nelson Liu reports.
On thin ice, fighting to stay open. An ice skating rink continually at risk because of COVID-19.
It's just not good, so.
Coburn Ice Arena has been struggling throughout the pandemic, with lockdowns and safety restrictions hurting the business. The state's snap lockdown has added to the damage of earlier lockdowns to its rink, restaurant and cafe this year, affecting patrons, employees and events.
We've got over 100 staff, so they all didn't get to work, which was not great. We had to cancel lessons, birthday parties, so a lot of kids would have been disappointed their parties were cancelled.
It's dealt a blow to the business's finances for the rest of the year.
Would have been over 100 grand we were down that week. So we rely on the July school holidays to carry us through November, December, which are very quiet months for us.
Owners believe it's unfair they've had to shut while others remain open.
Why don't other industries get shut down? So I just think it's not an even playing field.
Many small businesses in WA are in the same position, needing assistance to recover. The McGowan government has provided grants to help them, with $2,000 for the Anzac Day long weekend lockdown and a $3,000 payment for the June snap lockdown. The opposition claims it's a way to lift the burden,
So this is important because it shows small business that government cares. It demonstrates to small business that they matter.
But there's a belief it's inadequate.
We think that a government who's making an absolute fortune, who's got more royalties income than any government preceding it, they have the capacity to make a contribution to ease the burden.
They say there needs to be a better process for all businesses to apply after regional businesses were left out. Meanwhile, there are hopes businesses will be able to return to normal soon.
We need to move forward. We can't keep suffering these lockdowns.
Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
The 26th Youth Parliament will go ahead in the next few days as leaders of the future debate policies, bills and legislations. It works just like a real parliament, but the difference is that the electorates are represented by youths aged 15 to 25-year-olds. This year's Youth Premier is encouraging all members to put forward their ideas, helping to shape government policies in a feisty yet constructive debate.
What the community can expect from us is that we will, try and influence actual legislation as much as we possibly can as young people. I think a lot of young people don't feel like they actually have a voice and they don't feel like they will be heard if they speak up. So in having this camp and in having this program, it allows young people to stand up and speak out.
What is the biggest bill you're going to push?
For me, it's the Raising and Maintaining Regional Populations Bill, because I come from the regions, and looking at Kalgoorlie over the past decades, you see that the population just keeps decreasing and decreasing, and that is sometimes based on the mining boom, on the economy in general, but we really need to focus on tourism and ensuring that there is always an influx of people.
The City of Perth is standing behind its decision not to support the construction of a pool at the Wacker ground, saying it's not good value for money. The council voted against the pool and the arena's redevelopment after a review of the business case revealed that rising construction and operation costs would run into nearly $130 million over 40 years. The McGowan government says the council is walking away from the pool as part of the Perth City deal, but the council said it wasn't the best plan for the city.
I'm disappointed by that commentary. This is a game changer for our city. This is a historic deal. We were asking the City of Perth to join us to seize this opportunity. Instead, the City of Perth is walking away from the game changer for our city. Because the key question is this: if they're not contributing $25 million towards a pool, then what are they contributing?
A recent report revealing Perth is experiencing its fastest growth in rental prices is undercutting the McGowan government's claims that they are addressing housing affordability in WA. The Domain Rent report this week shows rental prices rising 21% to $450 a week for homes, while increasing 19% to $380 for units. Homelessness Advocates says investment for social and affordable housing is needed to address cost and evictions. But the government says initiatives and focus on support services are doing just that.
It's important that the discussion also includes housing, as well as making sure that people have got the right supports. And as a government, we're very focused on that. Minister Kerry spoke about the announcement this week in Wellington Street. Next month we'll have a significant investment of new emergency accommodation in the CBD.
The Miami-Dade Mayor has announced an end to the search for survivors in the rubble of a collapsed apartment building in Florida. Officials say the extremely difficult decision was made with deep, profound sadness as the operation moves from search and rescue to recovery. The Mayor confessed the team has looked into any option they can in search and rescue as the death toll reaches 54, with 86 still missing. There will be no spectators at the Tokyo Olympic Games this year during the introduction of a state of emergency status, meaning the event will go underway behind closed doors, and only several events will be held outside the capital city. Early this year, torch relays were also held away from the public to reduce virus concerns. The decision comes after the emergency status was announced by the Japanese government, lasting from July 12 to August 22.
The James Webb Space Telescope has passed its final mission analysis review ahead of its launch date in November. The satellite is the successor to the Hubble Space Telescope that has recently been experiencing major glitches in its computers. While Web was initially scheduled for launch in 2007, it has faced many setbacks since its inception in 1996, making this milestone even more exciting to finally achieve.
And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
We hope you've enjoyed our company as much as we have enjoyed yours. From Sarah and myself, we wish you good health, good night, see you next Sunday.
Thanks for stopping by.